Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. My guest this morning is Mr. Nuhu Toro, Comrade, one should say, Comrade Nuhu Toro, Secretary General, Trade Union Congress. And he is joining us remotely. So the first thing to say is good morning to you, Comrade.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Now, your Congress is threatening that if all things are not equal, and you'll explain that in a moment, the TUC might indeed go on an indefinite strike in some states because they have not performed as encouragingly as you would have expected. That much of it is true, sir.
Yeah, well, thank you, viewers, for having us. That assertion is very correct because if you understand the logic of minimum wage is to protect vulnerable workers.
That's
and
right.
The Minimum Wage Act is a law in Nigeria. So we see no reason why state governors should be breaking the law. And that is why we have indicated clearly that any state that fails in the payment of the new national minimum wage should be ready to receive us in the state. And we even single out 2 states, for instance, Cross River and Zamfara State. We see no reason why elected officers will not have human heart. Human heart in the sense that the 70,000 naira that we are talking about, I mean, it's not sufficient yet to take Nigerian workers home. And even at that, some of those states, the states I mentioned are just few out of the states that are not faithful to the payment of minimum wage. So they should get ready. We have given them a little time frame to see that by end of this month, if they are not paying the new national minimum wage, then the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, under the leadership of Comrade Engineer Festus Osifo, will mobilize all our members across the length and breadth of this country to visit that state until the right thing is done.
Well, okay. You did explain. First of all, one would have thought that we might have seen the end of strikes. You know more than most that these strikes don't do anything for our economy at all in a positive way. So I imagine that you wouldn't have reached this decision lightly. However, it is going to, it is going to disrupt things a bit, if indeed. In fact, it should be from today, if I'm not mistaken, in Calabar and Zamfara. Am I correct there?
Well, you are correct, but your position is a biased position because in industrial relations, is usually give and take. So you are looking at what is going to disrupt. You are not looking at the millions of Nigerians that will go home hungry. That's not fair. So, and what we are saying is, if there's a law in place, I mean, governors should be honorable to respect the law. That's all we are asking for. We are not asking for something extraordinary. So if other state governments are paying, why not? If you go to even the zone, for instance, take Zamfara, states like Kebbi, who have even less income or less IGR, are faithful. So most times it's not about what comes in, it's about who is there. Go to Kebbi and see what Nasiru is doing. He's doing perfectly well. So, and why wouldn't other governors queue in? Why wouldn't they obey the law? That's just what we are saying. And again, history has shown that when we embark on nationwide strike to drum support for state governments that are not faithful in honoring their obligation, most times you punish state governors or state government that are faithful. And that's why we've decided to change our tactics and confront them state by state. Like I said, Zamfara, we'll take on Zamfara if Zamfara refuse to open up negotiation for a new national minimum wage or they refuse to pay the new national minimum wage, which is a law. The same thing with Cross River. If Cross River fails, if the state government continues to fail in setting up a committee to work out what the minimum wage will be, they should be ready to receive us. We'll mobilize our members and visit Cross River and Zamfara State until the right thing is done.
Because you have also been reported to have said when you were speaking with journalists that minimum wage, it goes beyond just announcing, whatever it is, 40,000, 70,000, 90,000, that it goes beyond that. that there are some other aspects of it if this whole exercise is to be taken seriously. And this is where you are frowning at some states that it must be that you are thinking, it must be the viewpoint of the Congress that much more could have been done. But for some reason, I think, you think some of those states are slacking.
Yeah, they are, of course. For instance, it's just minimum wage we are talking about. Nobody is talking about consequential adjustment yet. So minimum wage is the starting point. Until you determine what the wage is, it will be difficult for you to determine what the consequential adjustment will be. So invariably, that means a lot needs to be done. And that is why you see that we want it expedient. We want it treated expeditiously so that workers can at least have some meals on their table.
Okay, maybe could you explain the implementation, implementation of the necessary adjustments to align wages with the new national standard, which you said goes beyond just announcing that.
No, like I said, it's about numbers, it's about figure. For instance, I cannot tell you now that X plus Y equals to Z until I know what X is. So it becomes invariably difficult for me to tell you in numbers what the outcome will be. And that is why we have a benchmark. Let's agree on what the benchmark is. Then every other supplementary issues surrounding the benchmark will be worked out. And don't forget, it's a product of collective bargaining. It's not that we are pushing it through the throat of government. No. Government, organized labor, employers will sit on a round table to determine what is workable, an agreeable term that everybody is happy with. And then we'll move on. That's the point we want those states to look at and drive us to.
Okay, so beyond that, if you were to use the opportunity of this program to speak to the authorities in those stations that, those states that you think can exert themselves a bit more than they are right at the moment, because I can just imagine, even though you accuse me of unfairness, it wasn't my intention. I would imagine everybody would have their own reason for their activity. I know that might be their viewpoint. There might be a counterpoint. So if you were to speak directly to the authorities in those states, what would you be counseling them to take, to consider very, very seriously?
Well, you see, strike is a means to an end. It's not a means in itself. And strike is legitimate. That is why the Labor Act recognizes that a worker has a right to down tool when his rights are being infringed upon. So embarking on strike is not an illegal thing. It's something that is legitimate. Now, the other angle you raise about destructive properties, most times from an ignorant standpoint, people have misunderstood strike to translate to disruption. That is not correct. Strike is just a means or a tool that is available to organized labor to push or to compel authorities to listen. It is also important to stress that to organize a strike is not a tea party, which means that a lot of resources go into it, a lot of resources and commitment. Yes. So my advice to authorities is that, a stitch in time saves 9. Usually before we embark on a strike, like I have told you now, that in no distant time, if those state governments do not comply with the Labor Act, we are going to ensure that we mobilize our workers. This time frame that we have given is a window that we expect management and government to leverage on, which most times they don't do. When organized labor gives an ultimatum, they are telling you that, hey, you need to come, we need to talk, let's dispense with this matter. And if it is not achieved, of course, the only option that we have will be to embark on a strike action. So I want to appeal to authorities to kindly ensure that that doors are open. The communications commence so that we can determine what to do towards ensuring that negotiations commences without further delay. That is the only thing that can avert this action at this point in time.
would it be, what would be the impact? I'm looking in terms of spread now, because, for instance, you did mention that there are two states in particular that you actually named, Zamfara, possibly, and also Cross River. But I was going to ask, there are other, you say that there are states where the conversation has not even commenced, which is quite worrying. That people, it would appear, ordinary observers might think this was a kind of levity. If in your address you are saying that there are states where the conversation hasn't even progressed yet about how to proceed, move forward on this whole matter. So would it be, I mean, I'm just looking at how many states would come under your ire, or is it by and large? Because there will be states where there will not be action because they have not been doing too badly, if they haven't been doing well.
Well, that is our joker, and I don't intend to open it up in the national media. But the truth of the matter is, we have our own modus of operandi. But what we seek is not publicity, but result. What we seek is result for enhanced welfare of the working people. How we get it, I mean, is our joker that only the organized labor have access to for now. But you can be rest assured. For instance, I made mention of two states. Cross River, it was after the industrial action commenced that they now quickly started running helter-skelter to say, okay, can we talk? But the case of Zamfara is terrible. As I'm speaking to you, nothing, I mean, extremely nothing has been done. Nobody is doing anything. Nobody is calling anybody for any discussion. That is not acceptable. And we will ensure that the right thing is done.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I just didn't catch the last few moments of what you were saying.
Okay, so what I'm saying is currently no discussions have commenced in Zamfara. But Zamfara workers should be rest assured that the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, under the leadership of Comrade Engineer Festus Osifo, will ensure that they earn their wages because they have worked for it and they must earn it. So in no distant time, we are going to roll out our action plan and implementation strategies towards ensuring that the right of Zamfara workers and Cross River and so those other states that are lackadaisical, some states have commenced discussion, but I mean nothing is coming out of it. So if we need to push, we'll push those state government to ensure that the right thing is done.
Okay. You know, there is still there is also the other issue of nobody wants to go on strike. You know, the workers, neither the employer, neither the employed. Usually, nobody wants to go on strike because when it does come to pass, there will be pains, especially the workers now. I don't know. If it should come to that, which you are hoping it will not come to, everybody is hoping it will not come to, that people will see reason. But if it should come to that, the TUC is a senior, it's about senior staff, right? That's the commonest definition. It's about correct, senior staff.
Very correct.
They are not as hard hit, arguably, as the rest of us. And so...
Well, okay.
Please go ahead,
without being pessimistic, you know, you see, I respect your opinion, absolutely. So you have a right to your opinion. But, I mean, that school of thought which you hold is not correct. It's not correct in the sense that the assertion, in my opinion, is not correct.
Which one is that? Which school of thought is that? That's what?
The last one you alluded to, that the workers don't want to go on strike.
Okay. I get you. Well, I just took it from a logical point of view. People want to work if all conditions are right. That was my meaning.
There will be pain.
All other things being equal.
If they go on strike. So I was wondering, and it becomes debatable, what pain that a worker is trying to exercise his fundamental right to get what belongs to him? There is no pain.
There is no pain in striving for your rights, is what you are saying. And I can understand that sense. But please don't get me wrong. Workers that have to go on strike need to be provided for, either by somebody or by themselves. Hopefully they have the savings, they have the wherewithal to do so. That surely must be a concern when you go about the strategies you have, the strategies organizations have.
You are speaking like a capitalist employer who thrives in profiteering. I mean, this is not the first time we are embarking on any strike action.
No.
Which suggests that we have had strike actions that have lasted for weeks, for months, and we didn't budge. So I'm not sure this is going to be an exception. Yes, there's hunger in the land, but notwithstanding, a man that is down already is not afraid, is no longer afraid of falling. The workers are down already, so what are they afraid of? So, but we are optimistic that if that is the only language the authorities will listen to ensure that we get what we want, after all, it's legitimate, it's lawful. We'll do that. We'll do just that to get what belongs to the workers for them.
Indeed. Indeed, you are so very right. But, you know, when you come on like this, we take the opportunity of your coming on to get enlightenment on these issues. And as you have said, the welfare of the Nigerian worker is your paramount concern. Yes, one understands that. But going forward, is there, I mean, surely you must know about leaning over backwards, if that expression won't anger you again, where sometimes people will lean over backwards, say, hey, I'm warning you, I'm giving you all the chances to make amends, or, you know, that kind of a thing. Are you sure? Are you sure that all of this has been done? I'm just looking.
You are just trying to get to know our modus of operandi, because what this means is I will need to tell you that we have this is our implementation strategy. This is what we have done. This is what we have done, which unfortunately you might not get. But one thing is instructive. You know, as organized labor, go and check the history around the globe. I mean, conventionally, all union federations have some resources set aside for this kind of moment, because we know it's inevitable. It's something that will come, which suggests that there are some percentage of strike fund that is kept somewhere. Without speaking too much, I think I've told you enough, more than enough that you need to know. But let's be positive. We are optimistic. We will ensure that the right thing is done. We don't want the strike to last if eventually we have to go through that route. But however it is, head or tail, we'll ensure that workers' welfare for us is key and permanent and paramount. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So right now, if I'm not mistaken, is the strike, is the action in progress right now in the two states that you happen to mention by name?
Certainly. Certainly.
Okay.
Certainly, yes.
So the senior workers there.
For instance, in Cross River, they are already on a warning strike. If you follow the trend, Cross River, on their own volition, the workers in the state decided to embark on a warning strike because the government was not, talking to anybody. Again, discussions have commenced, and we are following track. We are monitoring to get development as they unfold. If there's a need for us to go there, why not? If we think the discussions have advanced, why not? We can as well soft-pedal to allow them pull it through. So that is where we are at the moment.
Okay. And just trying to make sure that it doesn't spread. From what we've discussed this morning, it will not be an unnecessary strike. At least
no.
I'm going to come onto your side.
If we want to be, if we don't want to be reasonable, like I told you, we went back on a nationwide strike, thereby punishing governors that are faithful. But I can tell you, without missing word, that some governors are indeed faithful. In fact, I received report that recently Bauchi State government has also commenced implementation. So some governors, I can tell you, are faithful, but we cannot punish governors that are faithful and allow the ones that are not faithful. And that's why we segregate them, that, hey, if like Zamfara is doing, we take Zamfara on and Cross River. And if Lagos State is also not paying, which I know that Lagos state government have concluded negotiations with our people and they are paying. Any state that is not faithful, we take them on and ensure that the right thing is done. That's just the logic and principle.
Okay, if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Dr. Nuhu Toro, who is the Secretary General, Trade Union Congress of Nigeria. He's joining us via Zoom in Jigawa. Stay with us, please. We'll take a quick break now and be right back. We'll include your calls when we come back.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move weigh in the struggle